Today we read Acts chapter 7, verse 51 to the end. Who today remembers Stephen on the 26th of December, when we're so used to calling it Boxing Day? But in these days following Christmas Day, we have a cornucopia of saints and special dates to celebrate as we move through the 12 days of the Feast of Christmas, which, by the way, only started yesterday. Stephen was the first recorded Christian martyr as well as the first deacon. But lest this should seem a bit of a downer after the joy of Christmas Day, let's look a bit closer at his story. Stephen was one of 7 deacons appointed by the apostles to support members of the fledgling church, whose role was to give practical pastoral support to members of the church, and that would free up the apostles for their main role of teaching and preaching. Someone, in other words, needed to do the admin. I must admit, I feel a bit wistful about this today, as both Canon Mark and myself, and indeed our Director of Music, have been taking up many admin tasks during recent months when other staff have been mostly on furlough. So I look forward to the day when I can hand over some of these concerns to an administrator. But I also firmly believe that it's good for us clergy to get our own hands grubby with clearing out drains or weeding or mowing or calling the contractors out or whatever it may be. And there's been plenty of that in the last few months. Those 7 deacons began a tradition of ministry which survives today. When a person is ordained today, they are first ordained deacon. And only after a year as a deacon might they then be ordained priest. And in some places, the role of permanent deacon survives. All of us, archbishop and bishops included, are first and foremost deacons. And the word deacon, like the word minister, means a servant. This fact enshrines Jesus' words to the disciples: "If I, your Lord and Master, have washed your feet, you also ought to wash one another's feet." Service is at the heart of the Christian gospel. It is how Jesus lived, and it is why he died. If it's not at the heart of our own Christian lives, there must be something wrong somewhere. This aspect of ordained ministry is recognised each year on Maundy Thursday, when the clergy gather around the bishop at the cathedral for the Chrism Mass, where we renew our ordination vows. And that takes place on the day when we also commemorate that act of washing the disciples' feet. Stephen's death, horrific as it was, formed a pattern of martyrdom, as he was said to have died in the way our Lord did, praying for his persecutors. This may well have had a deep effect beyond the grave, as one of the onlookers was Saul of Tarsus, a man zealous in his Jewish faith and determined to stamp out Christianity. When he later encountered the risen Lord on the road to Damascus with those heart-stopping words, "I am Jesus, whom you are persecuting," I can well imagine that the image of Stephen being stoned was there in his mind's eye. Maybe it haunted him since that moment, doubt gradually building under the surface. And now, as the light blinded him, he realised, thunderstruck, that Stephen was right. It would be good to listen to the carol Good King Wenceslas today, the story taking place on the feast of Stephen, when the good king went to feed the poor man at the gate, His Holiness even melting the snow under his boots so that the servant didn't freeze. It was a story of service, of seeing a need and responding to it. It's a good day today to do someone a kindness, a service they cannot return. Be a deacon today.